Hey friends, before we start the video, please take a moment to hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, hit that like button as well. Thanks. What's up everybody? Welcome back to Scrap Trawlers. I'm your host, Andy Zupke. With me as always is your other host, Nick Martin.
Hello everyone.
Nick, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you, Andy?
I'm doing alright. Almost a holiday, got a short work week, so I'm excited about that.
Oh yeah, lots of good food on the way.
Yeah, not as much as most years. It's just we're just hanging out at the house this year, but it should still be a good time. Nick, why don't you tell everybody what we're doing tonight?
Alright, so for tonight we have another treasure hunt, and we are going through Apocalypse. So we're just going to scroll through the list of all the rares on Card Kingdom, looking at any rare that is about $3 or less, and we're going to talk about each one, see if it's interesting, and see if there's any other decks that might want to play it.
Very cool. I'm excited. We had a good time last time when we did Mercadian Masks. This is a much smaller set, so it won't take us nearly as long to get through, which is good. But, should still hopefully find some fun and good cards. All right, let's get this started. We got Card Kingdom up on the screen. Let me filter this a little bit. We're going to just look at the cheap rares. And then we'll sort by price. High to low. Well, we know about Phyrexian Arena. Good card.
A lot of really good, almost stable cards that come out of Apocalypse. I didn't realize how many there were.
Yeah, so Apocalypse is the 23rd Magic the Gathering expansion, according to MTG Wiki. And it was released in June of 2001. That was is that the year you were born? That was right around there, right?
Just before.
Just before? Okay, all right. It was the third set and the second small expansion in the Invasion block. I like Invasion, the actual set, a lot. I think it's a great set.
Me too. My main commander's from Invasion, so.
Very good, very good. All right. I think, let's look at some cards here. Okay, so we know about the Pain lands. Some have been reprinted recently, and those are the ones that are a little bit cheaper. The ones that are printed in the Commander Precons. Some of them aren't. Hopefully they all will.
Are they the ally or the enemy?
I think the enemy. I know the Simic one was reprinted in Commander 2020. So I think it was the enemy ones. All right. So first one on our list is Legacy Weapon. Nick,
right,
tell us about the Legacy Weapon.
So here we go again with the artifacts, right? just like Mercadian Mask, everything's an artifact. Everything is less than Alright, so Legacy Weapon, 7 mana. You can pay Wooburg and exile target permanent. And if Legacy Weapon will be put into the graveyard from anywhere, does it kind of like the Eldrazi thing, reveal it and shuffle it back into your library. I don't hate it. It's very, very overcosted.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's 12 mana, gets you 1 permanent exiled. You got to pay for the weapon for 7, then you got to pay 5 more, and that just gives you 1. That's a big ask.
What is it, like Predator Skyship or something that gives something flying, and you can pay more mana to destroy a creature with flying?
Yeah.
That makes sense for decks that maybe don't have access to other colors. I mean, if you're playing Legacy Weapon, you have access to every single legal card in the format, so I don't think that's an excuse. Unless you're just looking for weird, what would you call that? Pink Floyd art, I guess? If you're looking for that, yeah, throw it in your deck.
Or if you're, I guess if you want artifacts that you can animate, then it's good. Okay. Kind of, not really. So it's repeatable, so there's some value in that. So the top 2 decks on EDH Rec for this are Ramos and Giganta, which makes sense since those commanders both produce Wooburg mana. Giganta obviously more easily. It's nice that it can't get destroyed. It has that benefit going for it, but I don't think it's. I'd have a hard time slotting this into a deck for 7 mana. I have a hard time slotting.
It still gets got by exile too.
Yeah, I mean, you don't see a ton of exile effects for artifacts. I mean, you see some. Like Despark is, pretty popular right now, but I don't think I would put this in very many decks.
No, I agree.
All right. Okay, what's next? Oh, we got our first legend, Chromat. Oh, I guess I was hoping you would get to read this one because that's a lot to read. Chromat is a 5/5 legend. That's its creature type, at least on the card. I don't know, what is it in?
It's an illusion.
Illusion. Okay.
Let me find that.
All right. So white/black, destroy target creature, blocking or blocked by Chromat. Red/blue, Chromat gains flying until end of turn. Green/red, regenerate Chromat. Red/white, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Blue/green, put it on top of its owner's library. I'm not like totally opposed to this commander. I think obviously it's been kind of outclassed in the last few years by much better Wooburg commanders. We got Golos. Kenrith is another Wooburg commander with 5 different color abilities, and his are easier to do since each one only has 1 color in it. So it's less mana intensive, and plus you can make his abilities cheaper with stuff like Training Grounds or Biomancer's Familiar or whatever. But I don't know, I think if this was printed today, I think it'd be stronger.
It'd be a 12/12 for 5 and draw you half your deck and all of that. So,
I'm sure, it'd have some sort of
about Chromat. So it is an illusion. I checked.
Okay.
If you were looking to really theme out a 5-color charm deck, this is the commander you want because it has 5 charms for its ability. I mean, it has built-in protection too. So that's something. It actually has 2 of them, right? It's got put it on top of its library, and you can also just regenerate it. So that's something. Kind of cuts down on the commander tax if it's going to die.
Mm-hmm.
So not terrible, but not my favorite choice. Also, I don't understand where this thing's face is, or if it even has a face. So I don't think that other thing on the right is connected to its body. I have no idea. Kind of messed up.
I don't know. I know I can't help you there. I don't see a face. All right. Moving on. Here we go.
All right, a good card. You gave me all the good ones so far. So, Whirlpool Warrior. It's 2 and a blue for a 2/2. I'm going to assume that's a wizard. Merfolk wizard. When it enters the battlefield, shuffle the cards from your hand into your library, then draw that many cards. You can pay red to do the same effect for each player. So, pretty good in wheel decks. Run it in Niv Mizzet. Locust God, I think, is where I've seen this played the most. Nice that you can do it twice, so if you have a full grip, you can just do 14 right away for 4 mana.
Yeah, I think so this was actually reprinted in Plane Chase. This card is great if you're looking for wheel effects on creatures instead of spells, for some reason. Mm-hmm. I don't particularly see this fitting into any Merfolk tribal because of the red. I don't know if there's any red.
There's Dalikos, the equipment Merfolk.
That's a Merfolk? Wow.
I think so, right?
I don't know.
Dalikos.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a Merfolk Artificer because that makes sense.
So I like this better than Magus of the Wheel, which is far more common since it gets reprinted pretty frequently.
And this does it right away and twice.
Yeah. The problem with Magus of the Wheel is that, it's summoning sick. You can't activate it right away. You don't have that problem here. Plus, it's got that extra sacrifice ability, which is really good. I think this is a winner. I actually wish I had this in my Chaos and Tiro deck. I should buy one.
If you don't want to spend $200 on, Wheel of Fortune, you can spend $250 on this Whirlpool Warrior.
There you go. All right, moving on. We've got Desolation Angel. This is a 5/4 Angel for 3 black. And it's got Kicker for white. It's flying. When it comes into play, destroy all lands you control. All right, I'm glad you're amused. If you paid the Kicker cost, destroy all lands instead. I have.
What do you think of this card, Andy?
I have a hard time. I'm just gonna say no, thank you. I don't. This card, no. I don't want to play this card. I don't want to play with anybody who is playing this card.
So I'm gonna look at it this way. You can fix a bad stake with A1. At least that's the theory, right? But you need the A1, and the other card I can think of that you could pair with this Desolation Angel is Ward of Bones from Eventide. Which is 6 mana. Each opponent who controls more creatures than you can't cast creature spells. The same is true for artifacts and enchantments. It also has the last ability, each opponent who controls more lands than you can't play lands. So even if you don't kick this and you have Ward of Bones out, your opponents just can't play lands anymore. As I said, like, fixing a stake with A1 is an option.
Silver linings. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. Well, this next one's a good one. You are getting all the good ones. You're getting all the good ones.
Mystic Snake. This is a classic. 1 green, double blue for a creature snake. It's a 2/2. It has flash and comes into play. Counter target spell. Used a lot for what was it used for back in the day? Jedi Navigator lockouts. If you happen to have 2 extra mana, you just continually bounce this to counter whatever spell you want. Very good in Flicker decks. Not much to say about otherwise. I mean, I would say it's a pretty well-known card in the format.
Yeah, this isn't a. It's in 6,983 decks on EDH Rec, and it's only cheap because it's had quite a few reprints.
Right.
So not exactly underloved, not a hidden gem. It's a great card. Everyone knows it.
Not as cool as the Lizard Wizard that got printed in the newest Ravnica set.
The Lizard Wizard? Yeah.
Frilled Mystic, that's what it is.
Right. Okay. Time for my card here. We got Spirit Monger. It's a 6/6 beast for 5 mana. That's decent. Whenever Spirit Monger deals damage to a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on Spirit Monger. You can pay a black to regenerate it, pay a green, it becomes the color of your choice until end of turn. So this was actually reprinted as well. It is in Conspiracy and Iconic Masters.
Oh, wow.
5 mana for 6/6 that gets bigger. That's pretty decent. Plus with the regenerate, it's going to be hard to kill. Outside of, exile effects or Wrath of God effects. I don't know what I would do with that green ability, though. Like, does green want that for any reason?
I play Blind Seer, and I'm having a hard time thinking of anything that you would want with that. I guess it dodges hibernation. Cool. So you bounce all green permanents or whatever. It dodges hibernation, but yeah. Other than that last ability, it's a pretty effective attacker and blocker.
Yeah.
You're stronger, and it's hard to kill. So I don't. Oh, actually, the reason I didn't see this card before was because I'm used to the new printing, and the new printing has like a mouth inside of the stomach, so that's interesting.
Yeah. So this is only in 197 decks in EDH Rec, but I feel like I think it's good. I mean, you gotta work with it a little bit. Put a lure on it, and it's gonna get a ton of +1/+1 counters. And then give it Death Touch somehow, which both of those things are easy to do in black and green.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, if you're building a deck that's all about granting abilities like that, or playing lure effects, or Nemesis Mask, it's one of my favorites. This is great for that. I think it should be.
What? This gets around any of the swords of X and Y, unless there are, I guess, multiple.
Oh.
So there's something.
Yeah. It's a good point. That's a very good point. I mean, you don't see those in every pod, but they're common enough.
Yeah.
Nice. Good call. I like this card. I think it's good.
Okay. All right. And one I've actually used, Wild Research. So it's 2 and a red for an enchantment. You can pay 1 and a white, search your library for an enchantment card, reveal it, put it into your hand. Then discard a card at random and shuffle your library. You can pay 1 and a blue to search your library for an instant card and do the same thing. So I've used this in 5-color enchantment builds. I used this in my Corona deck back in college for like the 5 shrines that were available.
Mm-hmm.
This is just a kind of a fun, cheap way to tutor for everything. And if you ever wanted to grab Cyclonic Rift on the cheap, this is another way to do it. So I think that alone, just for being able to grab Cyclonic Rift and hopefully not discard it, is pretty good.
Yeah. So this was actually one of the list cards in the mystery boosters. That's the only place it's been reprinted. I thought this would be a great include in Brawlin and Shabraz, because that one likes to discard, but it's only in 2.6% of those decks. That's a good
call. I like that.
It's a repeatable gamble.
Yeah, you can just tutor up a bunch of your wheel effects, if they're instants, and then if you discard it, oh well, you still got some value off it. Yeah, that's really good.
Vadrock likes this a lot.
Yeah, it does. I'm surprised I missed that when I built it.
The enchantments you discard, if they're cheap enough, you can just recast them, or just cast them from your graveyard with Vadrock if you mutate.
Oh, that's really good. That's really exciting. I'm gonna have to write that one down.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's a good card. It's not great everywhere, but it's definitely got commanders that it's good with.
Mm-hmm.
All right, moving on. So this card is got a bit of notoriety to it. I always see people on Twitter saying, "Hey, why doesn't anybody play this?" I know why, but let's read the card. Guided Passage costs blue, red, green. That's a sorcery. Reveal the cards in your library. An opponent chooses from among them a creature card, a land card, and a non-creature, non-land card. You put the chosen cards into your hand, then shuffle your library. So I think, like, at first glance, it's good. I mean, you get 3 cards. You're probably going to get the worst 3 cards in your deck, but if you built your deck right, there shouldn't be any bad cards in there. This was reprinted in the list in Mystery Boosters as well. Not playable right now in the time of the webcams.
No, it's pretty much impossible.
But I like it. It's a good card. I think, let's see, 1006 decks. It's in 2% of possible decks, it seems kind of low, but it's underloved. But I think, aside from not being webcam friendly, I think the real drawback to playing this card is that it just brings games to a halt. Like, really bad. Because it's basically you're just handing your deck to somebody and forcing them to look for like the 3 worst cards. And that could take a while. No, what do you think?
So I've played this in a deck and I've seen it played effectively in another. So I'll talk about mine first. I play this in my Kaineos Tarot deck because that deck is highly political for what it does. So whenever somebody says, "Man, I wish we had a board wipe," you cast this. You ask like, "Hey Andy, give me a board wipe and whatever else you want." And they're more inclined to give you stuff that like will help will help you after the board wipe.
Okay.
And then it's like a basic land or whatever. But I mean, you're effectively drawing 3 cards off of it for 3 mana, which is a good rate. Where I've seen it played most effectively is in Maelstrom Wanderer, where all of your creatures are just bombs. So you'll get like a basic mountain, maybe a Fact or Fiction or some other, or a Ram spell, and then you get like Avenger of Zendikar because that's like one of the 4 creatures in the deck. So it's really good there if you build like a polymorph style deck, I think, or a deck at least that has like a lot of spells and a low amount of creatures, but your creatures are high impact cards.
Okay.
But unfortunately, it is like impossible to play over webcam nowadays.
Right. Still decent.
Yes, I am a fan of this card.
Okay. Let's see what you think of this one.
Not a fan.
Yeah, me neither.
1 in Jeskai. It's a 3/4 with Flying Beast and Vigilance. So if you're playing like a keyword soup deck with blue, which is I don't know. I can't think of one that has blue in it except that vampire, that Sultai. I don't know where else you would want to play this. Maybe in your Jeskai Flyers deck, but
even there, it's not. Yeah, I mean, it's weird to think that a card with so many keywords on it could just be bad, but in our format, this just doesn't do much of anything. You'd have to like SPDO just commented as a standard staple, and I totally 100% understand that, because this is definitely like a competitive 1v1 style aggro card.
It also dodges Lightning Bolt, oddly enough.
Well, the angel with the lightning should be able to dodge the lightning bolt.
You would think.
Yeah, but in our format, it's pretty much a do nothing. I mean, unless you're playing like, for some reason, doing a Jeskai Flyers deck with lots of anthems, could be, but I don't know. Just doesn't do enough for me. All right, ready to move on to the Ice Cave. All right, so this is an enchantment for 3 blue. Whenever a player plays a spell, any other player may pay that spell's mana cost. If a player does, counter the spell.
This is hard, right? Because on the one hand, you can play it in your 5-color deck, which gives you access to counter anybody else's spell. On the flip side, if you're playing 5 colors, everybody else can probably counter your spells because you're playing every color.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you drop this, whoever has the fewest colors in the pod is probably going to be doing the best, which is kind of interesting. So I guess maybe you'd want to play it in mono blue, but it just seems like so not at all fun, you know?
Yeah, and Speedo's talking about playing it with Chromatic Lantern and Orrery, which is good because all your lands now tap for whatever. You can also play it in what's that Ojutai monk that says instants and sorceries and dragons you control can't be countered?
I don't know.
It was in one of the commander decks. But anything where like your commander can be countered, and if you have a way to make your spells uncounterable, like Sphinx of the Final Word, that's not bad. So you can attempt to counter all of their stuff, and your stuff's fine.
Taigam, Ojutai Master.
There we go. That's the one.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's stuff that gives you benefits whenever you counter stuff. I just think this card is just really... If I saw it across the table, I would be like, you know?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't even blow it up. Like, it doesn't do much.
Yeah. All right.
All right, so we have Symbiotic Deployment, 2 and a green for an enchantment. Skip your draw step. You pay 1 and tap 2 untapped creatures you control to draw a card. So under the right conditions, this can draw you a ton of cards. I've used it, but it has what's probably the most glaring downside where if there's a board wipe and you don't have cards in your hand, you're pretty much done.
Yeah.
Like, it's literally game over. It's happened to me and it feels really bad.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my thought too. Like on first glance I was like, wow, this card's really good. But then I thought about, oh, except when there's a board wipe, and then it's really, really, really bad. And basically you gotta really rely on your commander if you're gonna run this. Like, your commander's got to bring some creatures with it.
Right. Caleb's in chat, and I know he plays this card and he loves it.
Caleb, what deck do you play it in? Just out of
he plays
curiosity.
In Marath, I believe.
Marath, okay. I think it should be good in any commander that makes tokens. It should be good. But
like in Gave Guru Spores or anything like that can just make tokens on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, if your commander doesn't do that, I'd probably ignore it.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting card. Kind of like so risky that I kind of want to play it just to be, crazy, and do something different. But yeah, I'd be very scared of board wipes.
Pairing this with if we're doing the A1 steak analogy thing, pairing it with Seaborn Muse.
Why not? Let's keep it going.
You can draw a ton of cards.
Definitely.
Maybe it's more of a mushroom sauce than A1, but
yeah. I mean, if you're running like a lot of indestructible effects or stuff like that, maybe. It's an interesting card. I definitely wouldn't dismiss it, but I would be very, very, very careful about playing it.
Right. Like I think it's risky to the point where the payoff isn't really worth it. Like, if I'm gonna play something risky, I want it to be like original Rakdos, where you sack half your non-demon stuff, and when you slam into somebody, they lose half of their stuff.
Yeah. Like,
that's pretty cool and exciting. This is like, if it goes on the wrong side of the coin, you just kind of like, okay, well, I guess I'll just sit here until somebody blows up my enchantment.
Yeah. Caleb in chat said you gotta make sure to keep a way to destroy enchantments in your hand, or maybe have some way to sacrifice an enchantment.
Yeah.
Or sacrifice a permanent.
It's good to discard 2 Wild Research.
All right, page 2.
Let's go to the next one.
All right, this one's mine, right?
Yep.
Yep. Want to do that? Okay. Anavolver. It's a 3/3 for 3 and a green, and it has 2 kickers.
Type, Andy?
It's a Volver.
What's a Volver, Andy?
You need me to tell you what a Volver is?
Yes, please.
You should have been paying attention in health class, buddy.
Chad, do you know what a Volver is?
Chat, where's the Volver? Kicker, 1 blue or a black. If you paid the 1 blue kicker cost, comes into play with 2+1/+1 counters on it. It has flying. Okay, so for 6 mana, you get a 5/5 flyer. If you paid the black kicker cost, it comes into play with a +1/+1 counter on it. It has pay 3 life, regenerate, and a Volver. So this is actually a cycle. There are 3 of them.
3?
I think so. Maybe more. So Anavolver sounds to me like an early aughts new metal band. But not like an A tier new metal band. This is like B level new metal band. So, like they definitely got some they got some decent radio play in the suburbs, but never really broke into the major markets. And probably toured with Seven Dust once or twice.
Oh wow!
It's, but this card sucks. Just like the early aughts new metal bands.
That's fair. So I'm pretty sure that there are 5 Volvers in this set.
Are there 5?
And,
you know what I think it is?
Original...
I think I stopped paying attention after the 3rd one. I'm like, man, these are all the same card, and they also...
Yeah, these were the original names for the Cons wedges.
Oh,
so you have
okay.
Anna, which turned into Soul Tie. I think the one right below Bloodfire Colossus is the Dega Volver, which is the Temur 1, and so on and so forth.
Interesting.
This is, in my opinion, probably one of the better ones, just because it has Regenerate. So you can make a big beefy flyer with Regenerate. It's not terrible, not my first pick, but if you're looking to style on people, this is a fun way to do it.
So
Regenerate is free, technically. I mean, it pays life, but it's free, which is really good.
Yeah. My problem though is that we have 2 kicker commanders, and both of them are 2 colors. So like these can't go with it, either one of them.
No, they can't.
I don't know where you would put these cards that they would be effective.
Chromat.
I mean, Chromat?
No, I wouldn't.
Nah. Yeah, I don't like. Spoiler alert, I don't like anything in this cycle. They're all kind of...
Alright. Well, how about this Bloodfire Colossus? It's 6 and double red for a giant, so I'm already interested. It's a 6/6. You can pay red, sacrifice it, and it deals 6 damage to each other creature and each player. So to each creature. So it does the, I think the card is just called Inferno, which is 6 to everything. Pretty nice Reanimator target, in my opinion. Because it's really easy to just wipe the board early on if you get it with like an early Reanimate or something.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really care how much it costs because you're cheating it into play somehow. It's kind of funny to slam in with Sneak Attack. You just pay red, hit somebody for 6, pay another red, hit everybody for 6.
Yeah, and along those lines, this is actually very popular in the new Perforos, which is basically Sneak Attack on a commander.
Okay.
So this is reprinted a bunch of times. It is in 479 decks. Perforos Bronze Blooded has the most. I like it there. If it's not great to hard cast it for 8 mana, but if you can cheat it out, it's decent board wipe. It's not efficient for the mana cost, but like I said, cheating it out is alright.
Yeah, and like many old Magic cards, I don't understand what's going on in this picture.
Yeah. I think you might want to... This might be good in... Like if you're doing like a budget Nikia deck or Rurik Thar where you have to play all creatures, but you want a board wipe in red and green.
Okay, yeah.
These are probably good there. Alright. Oh, look. Now we have...
So Sade Evolver, this is the team one. It's 1 and a blue for a 1/1. It's got kicker 1 in red and or green. So if you kick it with the 1 in a red, it enters with 2/1/1 counters. First strike. If you kick it with green, it enters with 1/1/1 counter and trample. So if you paid full price for it, which would be 5, you get a 4/4 first strike trample.
Wow.
The art, and that's as far as that goes.
Yeah. So Seed Evolver is in Evolver's second album. And as you know, the second album is always worse than the first. But this is still just as bad.
Okay, before we continue.
Yeah.
If that was a Weezer album, which one would it be?
I don't know. I don't know Weezer.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Never got into them. Okay. Here we have Death Grasp. X, white black, for sorcery. Deals X damage to target creature or player. You gain X life. So this is interesting. Dealing X damage in white and black, you don't really see that too much anymore. They mostly like drain the life rather than deal damage, you know. So this is reprinted in Commander 2013 and 2015. Gain X life is obviously, you know, that's definitely an Orzhov thing. It's in 1,218 decks, so that's a decent amount, but it's only 1% of the actual possible decks with black and white. Most used in life gain decks, with its highest percentage being in Obsidat. I might run this in decks that like to do Stuffy Doll shenanigans if you're in the right colors. I don't know, I think Stuffy Doll players usually play Izzet though.
Yeah.
If you're playing Mardu, my boy Brash Taunter would like to play with this card. You know, a boy. Otherwise,
I think the dealing damage bit is what sets it apart from other spells like this. And it also hits creatures too, or creatures and players, right? So it's like a single target fireball that also gains you life.
mm-hmm.
You can pair it with, I think it's like Pestilent Spirit from one of the newer Ravnica sets, where all of your instants and sorceries have Death Touch.
Okay.
So you can just like ping something for one, gain a life, and just end something if you get another removal spell.
Yeah.
But on its own, I don't like. You're only gonna play this if you're a life gain deck, right?
Yeah.
I think in the right setup, like gaining a ton of life to actually hurt the table way more is really good.
Yeah. I don't know. It being a sorcery really turns me off. Just kind of. I don't know. I'm not big on life gain strategies in general, so I guess I'm not. I can see why this card might appeal to some people, but I'm not a huge fan. But I don't think it's bad.
Yeah. All right. We have the third album, the White Album. We have Degevolver. Oh, what does this one do? Okay, so we got one in a white.
Nothing. It does nothing.
Yeah, one in a black and or red. If you kick it for the one in a black, it gets 2 counters on it and pay 3 life regenerate. So same thing as the as Anavolver. If you pay red, interest with 1 counter and first strike. All right, we're done.
Yeah, this is the album where they really tried to go for like the radio friendly singles, but it backfired because they lost all their fans. All right, Desolation Giant. Another one with kicker here. All right, so this is like the angel one that killed all the lands. 2 red for a 3/3 giant with kicker white. When Desolation Giant comes into play, destroy all other creatures you control. If you paid the kicker cost, destroy all other creatures instead. Now this is good. I like this one a lot. I mean, 6 mana for a board wipe isn't super efficient, but if you're playing on a tight budget, it's not bad at all. Because you're going to be the only one left with a creature. For what that's worth.
When you put it that way, it's okay. I mean, there are other creatures, particularly in black, that do the same thing, but they're also like 5/6 flyers.
Mm-hmm.
This is only a 3/3. I mean, I can see this being played in Calamity.
Okay.
It cares about, casting creatures with high CMC. I know it's actually good there. Hold on a second. Calamity.
What's up, Dan? Thanks for joining us.
When you recast a creature spell with CMC 5 or greater, it's not even good there because it doesn't work. I think you're higher on it than I am. I'm going to pass on this one.
All right. I don't know. Cost efficient board wipes. Don't come easy. But yeah.
Okay. On that point, I will concede that when you're playing on a budget, board wipes that are cheap enough to put in your deck are hard to find. So if you're playing Boris and really need a board wipe that's not $3 like Wrath of God or something, this is an option.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
Alright, False Dawn. So 1 and a white for a sorcery. Until end of turn, spells and abilities you control that would add colored mana, add that much white mana instead. Or no, it doesn't even say instead. Oh yeah, it does. Until end of turn, you may spend white mana or mana of any color, and it cantrips. I don't know where you might play this. Maybe even in 5-color decks, right? If you just need like a weird mana fix, everything produces white, and then you can just spend white as whatever. So it's like a cantripping one-shot chromatic lantern.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think?
So, looking at EDH Rec, this is in 138 decks, and almost all of them are Kaikar, which I guess makes sense if you want to cast big white spells and use your spirits for that, so that they give you white instead of red mana. I get that. I mean, you should be running planes in your deck, so you should be able to cast your white spells without wasting a slot on this. But I can't think of a reason why I would want to play this card.
Yeah, so I guess it really lets you at sorcery speed sack your spirits for white, which is effectively any color of mana.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're really jonesing for something that's not red mana, I don't know, play Chromatic Lantern. It's getting reprinted in the next Secret Lair, so whatever. Alright, what's the next one? I'm hoping for a good one.
Fervent Charge. So this is 1 white, black, red for an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, it gets +2/+2 until end of turn.
There we go. I like this. This is Mardu before Mardu. This is really nice.
So it's hard. It's got a mana intensive cost with all 3 of those colors there. But if you're in a go wide strategy in Mardu, which there's a lot of Mardu decks that are go wide, I think this is great. It's only in 186 decks, but play it in Egger Markov or Alesha or Jarina Kudrow. Jarina Kudrow would really like this.
Yes.
A lot.
One thing to note, if you have additional combat phases, it stacks. So you get +2/+2.
Hey.
Then you get another +2/+2, and so on and so forth.
He's in the big brain there. Hey, Chris. Yeah, I think this is a great card.
Yeah, for 28 cents, you can't go wrong.
Yeah, I mean, it's a little costly in the mana area, but it's good for Mardu attackers. Like I said, yeah. Jarina Kudrow will definitely like this.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Let me get a weird one. Fungal Shambler, 4 and Sultai, or Anna, whatever, for a 6/4 Fungus Beast. I think it's been around to that. Has Trample. Whenever it deals combat damage to an opponent. No, that's whenever it just deals damage to an opponent.
Ooh.
You draw a card and they discard a card. So now that it doesn't say combat damage.
That's interesting. You don't see that very often.
Yeah.
Usually they try to avoid that because it's pretty easy to do shenanigans with other kinds of damage.
So its power and toughness stats aren't great for what it costs.
Yeah, I mean Crawworm.
It's got really low toughness too, so you can get in to use its ability once, and it's gonna get through because it has Trample. But then it just dies, and I don't want to spend 7 mana and my creature thing on in my Modrolta deck to cast this.
Yeah, it's just it costs too much.
Yeah, if you're playing Fungus Tribal, I guess you can play it because you have nothing else you can play.
Is it a fungus beast?
I believe so. Let's
Okay.
see. Fungal Shambler. It is a fungus beast.
Okay. I guess. Yeah, I mean, I like that it's not specifically combat damage. There's a lot of interesting things you can do with that.
Yeah.
Throw some sort of pinger effect on it, some sort of artifact or something that does that. But
Like
seven mana for it is just too much.
Yeah.
All right, we got another legend. Gerard Capuchin. 3 white for 3/4 legend. Probably human something or other. At the beginning of your upkeep, you gain 1 life for each card in target opponent's hand. Pay 3 white, tap target creature. Play this ability only if Gerard Capuchin is attacking.
Great.
Wow, that's really expensive.
I think this is, back in the day, important characters in the Magic story were just given, like, the worst cards.
Okay. Yeah, this card is not good. It's, let's see. There's only 15 Gerard Capuchin decks listed on EDH Rack.
That's 15 too many.
It's 15 too many, yeah. He's not a good commander. In a total of 172 decks, but it's not good. This art's great.
Alright, Goblin Trenches, 1 and Boros for an enchantment. Pay 2, sack a land, and you get 2 1/1 red and white Goblin Soldier creature tokens. So it seems bad, but if I'm going to use one of the latest Game Nights episodes as an example. If
Sure.
you're doing the whole fetch land, bringing it back with Crucible of Worlds thing, if you got nothing else to do, this is a good way to just, like, it's literally a mana sink, right? You just dump all your stuff into there and you get a huge army.
I would agree with you, except it's Boros, and your lands are just too precious in that color combination. It's very rare that you have like abundant lands in Boros. I mean, if you're running in this like a Naya deck, maybe, or maybe 4-color Omnath. Like if you're short on creatures and need blockers, it's cool with Winota because it makes non-human creatures to trigger her ability.
That's a good call.
But yeah, I like the art better than the card.
So I think we need to. There's a lot of enchantments. I feel like this is the enchantment version of Arcadian Masks, right? We're just gonna find a bunch of these things. Let's put it to the Wild Research test. Andy, would you search for this with Wild Research?
No.
Okay, then I think that's it does not pass the Wild Research test.
Chris says that Caleb used to run Goblin Trenches in Marath.
The keyword there is used to.
Yeah.
That's 2 words.
Did Marath used to be a Apocalypse deck or something?
Apocalypse.deck.
Alright. Is this one me?
Mm-hmm.
Alright, Kavu Mauler. 6 mana for a 4/4 with trample. Well, that's not great. Let's see what else is on there. Whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn for each other attacking Kavu. Well, until we get a Kavu Lord commander, I don't think this is really worth considering.
If you're playing the 5-color Changeling deck where you're just tribal.
Yeah, Morophon?
Yeah, a big old beater.
I mean, yeah, it can. I don't know. Do people ever do like Kavu tribal with just some other like Gruul commander maybe?
I'm sure they're out there. I kind of see that as like Beast tribal where it's there but nobody really wants to do it.
Yeah. Well,
if you clone this a bunch of times with like Rite Replication, I mean, yeah, Rite Replication makes every creature good, right?
Yeah.
But this makes like a sizable, like a bunch of threats, right?
Sure.
You get like +5/+5 for each one. Or +4/+4.
Yeah.
Which would be only some 8/8s. Okay, maybe it's not as great as I'm trying to make it out to be.
Nah. Not until you build that Morophon Kavu tribal deck.
I'll consider it.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, that's a lot.
The card that I literally don't know what it does. So.
Because it does a lot.
Let's go. Wooburg. Target opponent loses 2 life for each swamp you control. And then it deals damage equal to the number of mountains you control the target creature. You get a sapperling for each forest you control, 2 life for each plains you control. You draw a card for each island you control, and then discard that many cards. Oh, that part sucks.
This is exactly what I thought when I first looked at this card. I'm like, all right, okay, that's decent, okay, and then bam, it hits you with that crap at the end, like, discard the cards. What good is that?
Yeah. So, best thing to pair it with, obviously, is like Primal Order or whatever it is that makes all of your land types all land types. There's that triad of the Elysian Groves that can make this thing okay.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is more of a style play than anything. And I don't have any other thoughts on this thing. What about you?
It's such... It just does so much and also so little at the same time.
Card, if it didn't discard cards, this card would be sweet.
Yeah, it would be playable if you didn't have to discard the same number of cards that you drew. What's...
Okay,
Why
well, let's
do
look at
that?
Like, worst case scenario, right? You need at least 5 mana to do this. So let's assume you have all lands, and all of your lands are all land types. So someone's gonna lose 10 life, which is pretty good. You're gonna hit something for 5. You're gonna get 5 sapperlings. You're gonna gain 10 life, and then you're gonna loot 5 cards. I guess putting it that way, like under good conditions, the card can be good, but the ceiling isn't that high.
It's too much work.
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Mask of Intolerance, a 2-mana artifact. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, if there are 4 or more basic land types among lands that player controls, Mask of Intolerance deals 3 damage to him or her.
Anti-last stand tag. I hate this.
This is unplayable. Yeah, I would never waste a slot in any deck for this effect. I mean...
You can search for it with Tribute Page.
Yeah. I mean, yes, 4-color Omnath is really popular right now, but it's not always going to be. You're not always going to be in a pod with people playing 4 or more color decks. It could be...
You negate their life gain once or twice.
It's awful. So was the next one. Let's skip it.
What about the album? We have to know.
No. Anavolver broke up before their 4th album. This card didn't even happen.
You just want to admit there's more than 3.
Okay, they went their separate ways.
Overgrown Estate.
Singer overdosed.
Oh, jeez. Overdosed on 1/1 counters. And kicker. Couldn't kick it. Overgrown Estate. So we got green, black, white, in a different order. Enchantment. Sack a land, gain 3 life. The white kind of messes it up a bit. Otherwise, this would be, another auto include in your
Gitrog monster.
Your Gitrog frog deck.
Yeah.
It just the white makes you think, where else would you be able to play this? Because white's in it.
Yeah, this just... Maybe if you're doing like some kind of... Like maybe a Golos land sacrifice type thing. Yeah, the white just kills this card.
It's-
This card should either be just Golgari or Jund.
Jund would be sweet.
Yeah, it'd be really good in like Korvold if you could play that, but having that white in there is like Abzan doesn't want to be doing this.
Mm-mm.
I can't think of any commander in Abzan that would want you to do that. Sadly. Yeah, if we could just take off the white, this would be a popular card.
Yeah, I think I'm sure eventually down the road there's going to be an Abzan commander that cares about having lands in the graveyard or something.
Maybe.
Until we get to that point, I don't think there's a home for this.
Mm-hmm. All right. Penumbra Worm. It's a 6/6 worm with trample for 5 green. When it's put into a graveyard from play, put a 6/6 black worm creature token with trample into play. So it's like a much worse version of Wormcoil Engine.
Yeah.
It's reprinted in Ultimate Masters. It's in 401 decks. I mean, there are definitely decks that want this type of effect. I'm currently brewing Kolfinor, and it might be okay in like a really budget Kolfinor deck.
Actually, yeah, on that point, this is actually a better pick over Wormcoil Engine, in my opinion, if you're going for Kolfinor.
Mm-hmm.
Just because the token is also much bigger, so it has a wider array of options to choose from when it dies.
Yeah, I mean, I think the problem is that there are just cards that do this more efficiently.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for this cost, 7 mana is a lot. So there's some.
Look at this.
That is some art. That is some art right there. I love it.
Despair. 3 and double black for a sorcery. All creatures get -1/-1 until end of turn for each basic land type among lands you control. It looks like it's been errata to have domain.
At least according to Card Kingdom, it does.
Yeah. If you're playing 5 colors, you have better options for board wives.
Yeah. Amazing art, but man, the card it's a stinker.
Is the art amazing?
I like it. Don't you think it's cool? It's so
No.
weird. It's so weird.
It looks like budget Mos Eisley Cantina band. Or like just background Star Wars villains or bounty hunters or something.
All right.
I think this is Anavolver, actually, just a picture of the band.
It does kind of look like a band picture. Like the guy in the back is looking away from the camera because he's trying to be the cool one.
And the guy in front is the one like taking the selfie.
Yeah.
But he's never used a camera in his life, probably because he has like these weird robot arms.
Mm-hmm. He's probably the singer.
Oh, gee.
Power Stone Minefield. We got another Boros card here. 2 red-white for an enchantment. Whenever a creature attacks or blocks, Power Stone Minefield deals 2 damage to it. That's interesting.
I like it.
I could. Let's see. So it's in 181 decks. Really good for Tajik, Legion's Edge. Although it's only in 7 of his decks. But if you get like Fiery Emancipation or Torbran out, and if you're somehow doing a Boros deck that doesn't attack, maybe like, there's probably like Jeskai decks that don't do combat. This could be a pretty decent deterrent for a Jeskai combo deck.
So I've got one for you.
Yeah.
Instead of Jeskai, I would put this in a Naya deck. So with Naya, you have access to all of the enraged dinosaurs. You also have access to Vigor, and you have access to the new commander, Jared Carthalion.
Yeah.
So if you're the Monarch, right, this makes it a little bit harder to get in. And if you build around this type of effect, you pump your commander, you get all of your enraged triggers. You can also just make your dudes bigger. If you really want to attack with Brash Taunter, if you don't have like a better target, you can just get in for 2.
Okay. You are
like this.
100% right. I wanna.
Yeah, there's another card like this from, I believe, Worldquake, or at least regular Zendikar. It's called Light Minefield, which it's for 2 and 2 white, but instead of doing 2 damage to a creature that attacks, it does X damage, where X is the number of attacking creatures.
So I'm looking at the top commanders on EDH Rec right now, and it's only in 5 Gishoth decks. You're onto something there. This is totally an enraged card, 100%.
I may have just put this in a deck, like that I built for Jared.
That's a good card.
Yeah, I'm pretty high on this card. Fun thing you can do with Gen, I guess you could, right before combat, flash it in and say, oh, you ain't coming over here.
That sounds like what Gen would say.
Yes.
No, that's great. That's some good tech right there. Put this in an enraged deck. Wow. Good call on that. Alright, ready to move on?
That has been reprinted into the actual ground. Prophetic Bolt. 3 and is it for an instant. Deals 4 damage to any target. Look at the top 4 cards. Pick one, put it in your hand, play the rest on bottom. This one, even when EDH was in its early days, this wasn't great. It's kind of overcosted for what it does, but what it does very well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you look in EDH Rec, a lot of the top 100 creatures have 4 or less toughness that you want to kill. So it's going to kill more than half of the stuff you want it to kill. You also have some additional card draw, like a Scry 4 draw 1 on it. It's being an instant, it's another notch in its belt too. But again, it's overcosted. It actually goes into a lot of my builds as one of the first 120 cards, and it normally doesn't make the cut.
Yeah. So it's in 1,225 decks in EDH Rec. Been reprinted in a few commander sets, including last year it was reprinted in the Calamax deck, which
you bought, right?
Oh yeah, I got all of them last year. If you're gonna copy this spell, and it's pretty darn good, I think on its own it's overpriced. 5 mana is just... It's a lot. And I feel like it's only in as many decks as it is because it's been in precons. So people tend to, keep them there. Right, does that make sense? I think that's a thing.
Yeah, there's, the precon effect. You can... for example, if you went to EDH Rec and looked up Calmax, there's an option to remove the precon upgrade, and I'm fairly certain that if you did that, Prophetic Bolt probably wouldn't be on the list.
Yeah. Because, I have, a Tuvasa deck, and I look at it from time to time, and I'm like, man, I left a lot of cards in this from the precon. And not all of them should still be in there. I just haven't gotten around to changing it. Right. So I think that's why this card has as many decks as it does, but it's not bad, but it's 5 mana is a lot. All right, we're chugging along here. The last Volver. All right. Who's up? Me?
Yep.
Spectral Lynx. 1 white for a kitty. with protection from green. Pay a black, regenerate spectral links.
What is this doing?
Not much. I don't know. Where would you? What are you gonna do with this card?
It doesn't even go in cat decks because it has black in it.
Yeah. It's in 9 decks. If you've got, just grasping at straws here. If your meta is like super green stompy heavy, maybe. Except most of those creatures have trample, so still not.
You block 1 damage.
If that you'd have to suit it up with some weapons, but that's not really a Orzhov thing.
No.
I don't. This card doesn't make much sense.
No, I'm gonna pass on this one. It doesn't even get like A1 to save it. You have to throw it out.
Yeah.
Send it back. All right, suffocating blast. So we got 1 double blue and red. Counter target spell and deal 3 damage to target creature. It's a little overcosted. Like, honestly, if this were printed today, it would even have the generic in it.
Yeah. Yeah, that was my thought exactly.
It'd just be a different version of Ionize, which I think just deals 3 damage to that spell's controller, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I do like the card, I just know it's not a good card.
No. Because it's basically combining the card Counterspell with a weaker version of Lightning Bolt. But then you're adding that generic mana on there, and like, it doesn't need that.
I guess it's more of like a cancel plus Lightning Bolt, right? Which is a little bit worse.
Yeah, cancel and a less effective Lightning Bolt since it can only hit creatures. So, yeah, not good. Cost too much.
Yeah. You've got a card to actually play, so this is the
last card. Yavamaya's Embrace. Yavamaya, that casting cost. Wow. 5 green, blue for an aura. You control enchanted creature. Enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and it has trample. It's pretty decent. I mean, it's really, really expensive, but it's effective. I mean, you steal something good and give it +2/+2 and trample. You know where I really like this in that new Imadi deck? The commander that says all your 6+ CMC spells have Cascade.
Okay.
This would be really good in that.
Yeah, I agree. So, with mind control type spells, right? There's a point in the game where everybody's low on, with their hand size. There are no creatures on the board after a board wipe, and if you draw mind control, it's a dead card. This, however, is almost never a dead card because you have access to your commander. So, I play this in my Ricksmithies deck, and when I don't have a target to steal with this, if a Ricksmithies is on the board, I just spend 8 mana, give it +2/+2, and trample so it punches through for a ton of damage.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing Simic, you're not going to have mana troubles, really, so that
turn 3.
Yeah, in Simic you probably play this on turn 3, yep. The 8 casting cost in those colors isn't really it's not a huge deal. It's still a lot, but it doesn't make it unplayable like if it was like pretty much any 2 other colors. I think the really big thing here for me is stealing something and giving it trample.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially if you had somebody playing like a big commander. Go and kill them with their own commander like you like to do.
Oh, yeah. That's why I like it.
Yeah. No, it's a good card. That is the last card. The last cheap rare in Apocalypse. What'd you think?
It's kind of funny. So like the lower dollar half of this set, there's not a lot of good stuff. There's a couple of good things, but like the higher value stuff, there's some good stuff in this set. You got the Phyrexian Arena. You got Vindicate, which doesn't really see too much play anymore, but I mean it's still a fantastic card. You have all of the Pain lands, which are near staples in almost every deck. You got Deed and Unnatural Selection, which you're probably looking at that, Andy, and asking, why is that sold out?
Because you bought them?
Florida Man is the reason. You want to make your stuff salamanders? You want to make other stuff salamanders? Now you can.
Oh, a lot of people building Gore Muldrak, huh?
I guess.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that makes sense. That's good. Yeah, Whirlpool Warrior. That's a good card.
Yeah.
That's a really good card. Well, I think we can call it a night.
I think so.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Everybody, come check us out on Twitter at Scrap Trawlers. You know, we're on there now. We got our Scrap Trawlers account on there. You can find us on YouTube. Yeah, all of our streams are uploaded there. Cool. Thank you, everybody, for stopping by. Have a great night.
Thanks, everyone.
But not like an A tier new metal band. This is like B level new metal band. So, you know, like they definitely got some decent radio play in the suburbs, but never really broke into the major markets.